What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube.
Welcome to Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, inspiring us all to live better, love better, feel better, smell better, just be better every damn day of our lives. And our Thursday afternoon show, old school time, final show of 2022, presented by our friends at Firekeepers Casino and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Download the app today. Enjoy all sorts of cool sign-up bonuses, daily odds boost. It's a great app, and it's our go-to app for our games and what we bet weekly. Play the games with us. Some Premier League action back during the holidays, NFL this Sunday, bowl games, college basketball, you name it. Jason, how you doing, man?
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
What's up, buddy? Happy holidays.
Same to you, man.
Yeah.
I'm excited for
The snow?
no
I am.
the Santa Rube story that you're going to tell later.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll set that up at some
You've
point.
heard it before. I don't know why you're so excited.
It's good. You just tell it well. Even there are certain stories you don't want to set up because you oversell them. Like any story I tell, don't oversell it because I'm gonna screw it up.
Because you get in your own head and
Yeah, it's bad.
You give too many details.
I picture my wife not paying attention and looking away, and I've got this whole issue with genetics with my mother's storytelling ability that's seeped into my own. That's gotten worse over the years.
That's genetics, huh?
Genetics,
Yeah.
something
Gotta
like
blame
that.
something.
Yeah, I'm not blaming myself for damn sure. So, but with this story, the story lives up every time. So, looking forward to getting into that.
Sure.
And of course, your Groovy Donut Twitter questions, some fantastic stuff. I think it's going to be a fun show. Before we do that, as we do on every end of week show, what we are betting this week, presented by the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Jason, what are you betting this week?
Well, Graham, I've been taking a beating gambling-wise the past 2 weeks. It feels like a lifetime. So you know what they say in the gambling world. When you're on a losing streak, you might as well do a 3-leg long shot parlay. Am I right?
Absolutely. All you need is a win.
Yes. We talked about these games a little bit with Harry, but I like South Carolina money line plus 115. Kansas State money line. I like it against Alabama plus 180. And then I'm going to throw TCU, the 7 and a hook. Maybe I'm going to fall for it. Maybe this is the parlay breaker, the buster, but give me TCU plus 7 and a hook, and that pays plus 1,049.
That's really nice.
So almost 11-1 on your money.
And you are due. So this,
And that's the thing. I'm serious. You have to listen to that because someone that follows gambling and like I do, and we gamble a lot, I got to get it, turn this thing around at some point.
And it's almost the opposite. Like when somebody says they're hot, you should jump on. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. You've won 7 in a row? That doesn't seem
Depends
like
on
it's
what they
sustainable.
look like, too. It's like, all right, I turn things around or not.
I mean, there was that one. There have been a couple stretches. Harry at one point won 24 of 25 bets. He had one incredible run that if you were nervous to get on at some point, you're like, fuck it, I just got to get on until he loses.
But they put out their whole standings for the NFL season. Like Harry's like way over.
Yeah, he's had a good
500.
year. Yeah,
he's like hitting like 60% of his NFL bets. So those kind of guys you can listen to, but guys like me, you don't know if you want to jump on.
And once in a while, you get the year. You remember the year where the Blackhawks overs were just like killing.
Oh
Like,
my
you
God,
couldn't
it
miss.
was great.
Yeah,
until Vegas figured it out and made him like 9.
it took a while though.
It did.
Took like 16 games or something straight. They hit the over. All right, my parlay for this week. What I'm playing is much more conservative. It's kind of a chicken shit parlay because I'm easing
the parlay you should do if you're on a losing streak.
Yeah, it's what happens when you're easing back into Premier League soccer too after taking a bath in the World Cup, and it's because I don't really have a sense of. We're going to find out today. Liverpool plays Man City. There's things in an EFL Cup game and things like that, and we'll find out a little bit what the rosters look like. But I like on December 27th, Chelsea minus 319 at home against Bournemouth. I like Manchester United minus 332 at home against Nottingham Forest. And I also like a day later on the 28th, Manchester City at Leeds minus 363. And all of that is plus money at about plus 120. So that is.
So you have to watch soccer.
Yeah, which is perfect.
And have those odds.
It's
okay.
This is a time of year where we get into this mold where you're trying to navigate some family and football and soccer and sports you want to watch. Like I'm a little like Christmas Day. I can already tell is.
Do they ask you for gambling tips?
No, in my family.
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
No. But I think I've maneuvered the 26th to be able to watch Premier League soccer and the 24th a little bit of football, but the
what else is going on?
The 25th is a wash. I got to go to the in-laws on the 25th.
They don't have a TV?
They do, but it can't be my focus. I've already convinced us to drive home that night.
Yeah, but you walk around the room, you say hi to everybody, and then it's like, okay, you do your thing. You can't have a TV on?
I mean, you get to the point in life where you're kind of the center of the activity a little bit. You know, we're in that window where the older people rely on you for entertainment.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Well, the entertainment's on the TV.
Well, a lot of euchre, things like that. That'll be fun. I enjoy them.
But I feel you could still have a TV on and play euchre.
I'm working on it. I think my wife's stepfather could. Yeah. No, we'll work on it. And euchre's fun. It's a great group. I'm not. In some of the NFL games are asked that day anyway. Yeah. Not complaining all that much. All right, let's dig into these Groovy Donut Twitter questions.
All right, you know it. Eric Schultz up first. Should we be optimistic about MSU recruiting, given that they signed every remaining pledge and 9 4-star kids, or concerned given the low number of high school kids and that we hit the portal harder than a year ago? Weren't we supposed to rely less on transfers as Tuck got established?
Yeah, I mean, this is a good question. I think you can look at this a lot of different ways. I think the 9 4-star kids ties the 2016 mark, and obviously that's an infamous class. But if Michigan State, year after year, and this is after a 5 and 7 year, although a lot of these kids committed earlier than that, but if year after year Michigan State gets 9 4-star players and is able to develop them and hang on to most of them, the program's going to be in good shape. And it's going to be in good shape to the point that they ought to be able to, if not like catch the Ohio States of the world doing that, win enough to position themselves to then recruit at even a higher level, right? And so I do think there's some optimism that should be there. And when you talk about the number of kids, you can look at that two ways. One is they didn't really settle. They didn't go in and get guys to fill the class, high school kids that they weren't all that enthusiastic about. But the flip side of that is I'm sure they would love to have had a class of 19 kids with 4 more 4-stars or, mostly 4-star. I mean, and they didn't get those guys. So it sort of is what it is. I don't mind using the portal the way they did. I think the other thing with the portal, it's the number of guys who have a lot of eligibility left is interesting. So there are a number of guys who are sort of like high school kids in that standpoint, although they join a different class on the way up a little bit.
Next one from Eric. According to 24/7 Sports, MSU's recruiting class is ranked 23rd nationally. A year ago, it finished 26th. Does this class end up ahead of last year's, and do they crack the top 20?
I mean, I think it's a good question because everybody's not done yet. I think they will have a couple more kids join it. And
when will it be done? What's the end date?
Well, not till the late signing period.
Oh.
And you might even have the second transfer portal window that comes after spring ball. You'll see a few kids join then. So really, the whole rankings thing is tough. And I mean, I don't feel bad for 24/7 and Rivals and all those guys, but they're going to have to keep evaluating how they rank recruiting classes and how they do it retroactively and how they rank transfer classes. One of the problems, I don't think they quite have the formula down with the way they rank transfers, some of them, with the number of years left. A 1-year graduate transfer can be a great player for you, but generally a kid with 3 years of eligibility left has more value. And a lot of those kids get ranked on a similar plane, like just based on pure ability and not how much time they have left to contribute to your program. So there's a lot of stuff there. But I think it'll finish around 20, which is pretty good for this year. And it's over the 7.5 or the 7 4-star mark that we set for this class. And I think, one of the things that was important in this class is they brought in some guys and there are a couple of the guys I think that will arrive that will actually very much help immediately at key positions on the offensive line with Blackstock, the offensive guard and tackle, maybe the top JUCO kid in the country, getting Samac and J.D. Duplain to come back a year. I mean, those aren't the greatest offensive linemen, but those are seasoned veteran dudes. That matters. All of a sudden, that group doesn't look like this certain awful group that I was worried that they could be for Michigan State. And
but like we talked about before, though, the offensive line is a tough position to come right in, and
right.
So you do need those veteran guys, even though they weren't great last year.
And that's why a JUCO kid matters like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not always a hit, but that was a good get. There's a safety that they looks like to be a replacement for Xavier Henderson that they'll be landing, a transfer from Texas Tech, who's from Inkster originally. I think a real good get. And so those sort of things matter in terms of next, because what's also important is that next year isn't a disaster. I think it could be a tough year, but if you can get yourself to 8-4 next year, if you can be in a different conversation a little bit throughout the year, if things feel like the momentum's up, that makes the next class, which is also a critical class, an important one. But they're going to have to recruit a lot of the 2024 class off the backs of this season, and that's going to have its challenges.
Oh, look, you remembered. Dominic next. Is Hunter Dickenballs the result of breastfeeding off a ketamine-soaked nipple until he was 17? And from Mojo Jojo, is there a more hateable college basketball player than Hunter Dickinson right now? Duke and U of M seem to attract these guys like a moth to a flame. Cue stupid-looking face clip.
He's got a stupid-looking face.
They're really producing the show now.
Yeah. Yeah, he's doing the cues. Appreciate it, Dominic. He does have a face that is unsympathetic, I would say. I don't want to.
I think it's the whole package, though.
It is.
You know what I mean? If he was a good dude, he doesn't have that face.
And I don't know that he's a bad dude.
Well, you know what I mean.
He's an antagonist, is what he
right.
is. And,
Sorry.
And he knows it. And what's interesting about Hunter Dickinson is that I know personally, and there's some stuff that at some point I'd like to be able to get on the record. But I know personally, like the talk he had about Michigan State and, whatever it was, you only go to Michigan State, or if you can't get into Michigan. I don't know exactly what he said. But he put down Michigan State on a podcast, right? Part of his NIL deal. But I know for a fact that that's not the interaction he has with Izzo and MSU's players like at Media Day, the appreciation he has for them. And I'd love to at some point be able to tell that story, but he's not that guy in private all the time. But on the court competing, yeah, he's a guy that, he's got some Rodman in him. He's an antagonist. He's got some Lambier in him. And that works if you're winning. In college athletics, it doesn't work as well as it does in the pros. Like Rodman wasn't at Southwest or Southeast Oklahoma State, kicking people in the balls, right? He was.
I don't know. Have you seen video from it?
I mean, I watched the documentary on him, but they didn't show that part if he was. Yeah. He certainly, for people who play against him, he has become that dude.
Next one is Dominic's hot takes because Graham fucked up and missed them Sunday. Number one, Graham threatening to leave the podcast if he ever wrote a book again was alarming. You're not fucking leaving, Couch, ever. Shame on you for even planting seeds like that, especially around the holidays. 2, Jason and T went to a live a cappella show featuring a Chad Latz and Hans Jurgen duet. It abruptly ended when Nature called Chad during the stirring remix of Baby It's Cold Outside. And 3, for Christmas, I just want to hear Graham Ortiz tell Tony D to pass the fucking roast umber and tell your mom to make us some fucking pizza rolls.
Pass the fucking roast umber. Now, I can't do it on cue. This is why I suck on cue.
On cue?
I can't do it anyway.
I tell you what, randomly do it whenever we're doing a Twitter question and see what happens.
It's not good. It's not good anytime. I appreciate you. Appreciate you, Dominic. Yeah, I'm not leaving this pod. Look, we're doing the pod, and the book isn't done. That should tell you all you need to know. The book's in shambles, and we're out here 3 days a week. So, the priority is
3 days a week,
nights a week, whatever it is.
Whatever. No, I'm saying, and you made it sound like, we're out here 3 nights a week, just serving the people,
slaving away.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Driving in. Rich Searing next. Is it true that Tucker has stated the coaching staff will have no changes? And from DeUper, How can Mel say there will be no changes to the coaching staff? Really? Are Jay Johnson and Caden Hauser a package deal? Why not make him quarterback coach and let someone competent run the offense?
So, yes, he said that. Yes, he was asked if he planned to make coaching changes and said no. But that's what he's going to say until he does it. Like, I wouldn't even take.
But didn't he say it in a weird kind of way? Not a weird way, but a way that kind of twists it around so there's still a possibility?
Yeah, if guys find a better opportunity.
Right, that's pretty good.
No coach in that setting who's a decent leader of his staff is going to say, you know what, I'm making up my mind right now on the defensive line coach. We'll see. And that defensive line coach here said, like, what? Shit, am I moving? Am I losing my – like, that's not how you do it. So
right around the holidays.
I don't – it just means nothing what he said. It was a question that had to be asked. That's part of the job. And his answer was the exact answer that should be given.
Right.
And he'd be a Nimrod if he said anything else.
Rich Syrian with this one. Did everyone sign their letter of intent that was committed to MSU, or are we still waiting on some? Hard to keep up. I hear that. I look on the timeline. I'm like, I don't know what this means. Is it good?
That was committed, yes. And I think there will be some guys trickling in here. And, when you're doing a show, we're doing this, it's like 1:48 on Thursday. There could be another commitment or signing or anything that happens during the podcast or after. And so whenever you're listening to this. But, yeah, the guys who you were expecting to sign are all in the fold.
Next one from Rich. Why is Juwan Howard still employed after Wednesday night's game? And from Mojo Jojo. What's going on with Howard? Dude needs to find some zen.
Yeah, some Skyman. Somebody needs to just,
I tuned in right when that went down.
Yeah?
Yeah, and I had Skyman in my system. I'm like, am I seeing this or for real? It's just wild. I mean, he's telling his players, get the fuck off me. I mean.
That was a bad look. That was a really bad look. Don't touch me or whatever he said to his player. Yeah, don't.
I mean, I understand it because I don't really like people doing that to me, but you have to know the optics, right? People are watching this game nationally.
Yeah, but he's an emotional coach at times, and eventually, one of the things that's interesting about Juwan Howard, and I don't know how great a coach he is left. Early on, I thought he was really good. I think he's a good recruiter. He's obviously a decent coach. But one thing I don't trust with him that I sort of do trust with Izzo is I trust that Izzo doesn't cross that line. Like, people talk about the lunging at Aaron Henry in that NCAA tournament game from Tom Izzo.
Don't coach my team.
The fist clenched. One of the reasons that doesn't ring alarm bells with me, and I understand why it does for certain people, for people who don't cover him all the time, I get desensitized to it. But I don't think you'd have a situation where he'd ever hit a player. I just don't. I don't think it would cross.
I hope not. I mean, that's obvious, isn't it?
Right.
That obvious?
But even in his anger, like he's not about to hit a player. He understands that's the stopping point. It's just the way his jaw looks and other things.
Yeah.
With Juwan Howard, I don't trust 100% that he won't cross a threshold that he can't come back from. Just because we saw it was
slapped a coach.
Yeah, we saw it with Wisconsin last year, and I hope for his sake he doesn't, and that he keeps it together. But that's the one thing with him that eventually, if he coaches this emotionally, and he's coaching teams that aren't great and all that stuff, that eventually it might get him.
What did John U. Bacon have to say?
I didn't look.
Was he into it? Oh. Next one is Mojo Jojo. Jason, what's your favorite Graham ramble of 2022? Happy holidays, fellas. Your favorite ramble? See, when you ramble, though, I kind of zone, so it's hard for me to pick my favorite one. I mean, obviously, it's probably some soccer one. I mean, I don't know, but that isn't really my favorite. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I figured you wouldn't be able to remember this. I ramble a lot. The worst is when I'm rambling and I know I'm rambling and I don't know how to get out of it. It happens quite often. Well,
I appreciate your rambling because it makes the show like 2 hours long.
Do you actually appreciate that?
I do. It is nice. I mean, you do say some things of value at most times. But I'm saying when you go on a ramble. All right. Great Christmas show we start off here. Professor next. How important is that Michigan gets beat by TCU so an entire generation of kids in Michigan don't grow up to be Michigan fans?
This is the Cosmic Fries question of the day presented by our friends at Hopcat, Best Damn Beer Bar, world-famous Cosmic Fries, a.k.a. crack fries, mouth-watering, award-winning burgers. including the Peyton Thorne Burger, which is 2 smashed patties, American cheese, bacon, sunny side egg up, served on a pretzel bun with said cosmic fries. And each location with carefully curated craft beer list featuring local partners, which I think is really cool. Great place to watch NFL games this weekend, Premier League, whatever it is, whatever floats your boat. And MSU basketball and hockey, starting to get real good crowds for MSU hockey games, watching together and enjoying them at Hopcat in East Lansing. Hopcat locations, though, throughout the state, Grand Rapids, Ann Arbor, Kalamazoo, heck, down in Indianapolis. Go to hopcat.com to check out the Hopcat nearest you. To the question from the professor, how important is it that Michigan gets beat by TCU so an entire generation of kids in Michigan don't grow up to be U of M fans? Do you think, Jason, that if Michigan wins this thing, there is an impact on the 9-year-old that remains forever and becomes Jordan Mack?
No. Lucky you. Well, I mean, if you live in the state of Michigan, yes, but nationally, are we talking about nationally? I don't know what kids know or like anyway.
So,
I don't know what they're into. A lot of kids don't even like to drive, and I couldn't wait to get my license. So,
I got two takes on this. One is that at age 6, maybe I was 7 already, John Elway became like my favorite person in the world, watching the Broncos in the late afternoon games. And the Lions sucked back then. They had James Jones and George James or something like that were the 2 running backs. They were awful. This is between Billy Sims and Barry Sanders.
In the name somewhere.
It was awful.
Yeah.
And the Broncos fandom lasted until Elway retired. It was really Elway fandom. I didn't realize I was going to lose it, but I did by the time I was in college. The other side of that, though, is Michigan basketball wins the national title in 89, and I'm like 9 years old. And I remember buying, this is back when they had those 3/4 length, almost short pants that kids used to wear in 89. And I bought a Michigan pair of that, and I bought some Michigan stuff. And I was.
You bought them?
Well, somebody bought them for me.
Money.
Yeah, and I was still into Michigan State, but I was really into the Glenn Rice team and all that because I was 9, and they won a national title, and it was cool.
Yeah,
and
just like the Fab Five.
Right, but I was not a fan of the Fab Five. By the time I was 12, I had kind of somehow gotten over Michigan. Yeah, I don't know, grown up, but whatever it is, my taste had changed. It did not have a lifetime impact.
You didn't like
on
the
me.
Fab Five, though?
I didn't.
I thought it was great because I hated Duke so much.
I didn't hate them. I just didn't have the same love for them that I had for that.
Yeah.
So I don't know what effect it'll have, but it's an interesting point that,
but I feel like when you're a kid, because I liked a lot of different players as well, like Bo Jackson, and I don't think that when you're that young you have to make a commitment. You can just let it all shake out. You can enjoy multiple players, right? I think that's what kids are doing now. They're just finding the players they like and they root for that team.
Yeah, I don't know if it lasts and lingers, and maybe it will for some. I mean, certainly a fan, people of a certain age find pure fandom in all sorts of things.
The Lions,
front runners. The Lions. Yeah, the Lions being good right now is good for a generation of fans that are
our core foundation, man. Grit.
Haven't.
It's taken a while though.
That haven't suffered. I don't know if it'll. I was a New York Giants fan for a brief minute because Elway and Dan Reeves split up in Denver, and I couldn't choose. I was a Dan Reeves fan.
Or you had those cool starter jackets. I mean, I had teams. I had so many different Colorado Rockies hats and shit like that. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. Professor, if you lost your ability to watch MSU hoops ever again, would you rather 1, only hear Will Tiemann on the radio, or 2, only read Chris Solari live game tweets?
That's another good question. I'd go with Will Tiemann. Because
wow, yeah.
Because I could hear Solari's voice in my head, so I'd have both. It'd be the double whammy.
I did have to listen to most of the first half on the radio last night. And Teresa was like, don't you play this guy's bit the sounder? And I'm like, yeah, Will Tiemann is really good at what he does. The only issue is we're just a little behind. We don't know where things are happening. Solari, jeez.
Well, you know what's happening.
You know exactly in depth.
And again, to Solari's credit, told him many times, he overtweets. Solari doesn't care. He thinks that he's doing the job right.
But you hear the game in the background. I kind of like that.
And a lot of people, I mean, I don't tweet a lot, in part because I just can't do that and the quick takes. But by the way, I got rid of freshman thoughts in yesterday's quick takes.
I saw that.
Although I don't think I will bring them back.
Surprised you're bragging about it, but
I'll bring it back when it's warranted. Obviously, if there's a freshman game that's interesting to me, there'll be freshman thoughts. But
it's almost more fun to watch you come up with something, though. Keep doing them.
Yeah. No, that's true. You have to okay, what are these guys?
See what Couch has tonight.
Yeah. Trey Holloman's played 1 minute. Let's turn this into some analysis. But a lot of people appreciate if you're not able to watch the game or listen to the game. Solari, they know, will have the update. They'll know exactly what's going on in the game. So there is a service in that.
Or you could go to ESPN or somewhere where there's a box score.
That's true.
Sorry. G.E. Miller next. This MSU class was built in June and July off 11-2 momentum, but net loss top recruits from August to December with the shine of the prior year wearing off. Will the 2024 class be any good coming off 5-7 and looking at a rough 2023? There are 95 million reasons why it needs to be.
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know, and I don't know how much harder it will be to recruit this year. They've got a decent start with a couple noted prospects.
Will the $95 million deal still be a big thing by this time next year? You know what I mean? With all the coaches getting
it is
paid.
Except you look at what Bielema just got at Illinois. It's like $6 million. It's a lot less.
Right.
So they're not necessarily catching. But I do think, and obviously the news came out, the MSU released the findings, or not the findings, released the details of the Matt Ishbia and St. Andre contributions. And basically,
anything good?
No, but here's why you ask for that stuff. I think more than we realized was on the hook by the school. 71 million of it is on the hook by Michigan State of the 95 million. That's a lot. And those are good. And people say nobody cares. I kept seeing nobody cares. And there's this, people do care. Nobody is reading. That story is doing gangbusters. Nobody else is reading anything close to that much. I mean, I can pull up the numbers right now. I'm not going to share them with you because it's proprietary information. But that's the story people are reading today. And so people do care. And I understand that people...
But do people care because it's a story that was leaked and people were making a big deal out of it? Because I will read it, but I don't really care.
People are mad at the Free Press, and they're thinking the Free Press's priorities are skewed, and they love MSU, and they don't want people messing with their people. They're protective of MSU. But that's not what journalism is. Journalism is not doing things that are convenient for the company or the organization that you cover. That's just propaganda. That's not what.
But neither is doing it for clicks either.
They're not doing. I don't think they're doing this.
Well,
for
you
clicks.
just said their numbers are probably pretty good
for one story though. They did a lot of work to get one story out of this. Not worth it. Not worth it.
Right. G.E. Miller next. How does Penn State get top 10 classes every year? The program hasn't done anything in decades. Cold climate, middle of nowhere, overrated coach. Nobody has done less with more.
It's amazing that 17 of the starters that played Michigan State for Penn State in that game on Thanksgiving weekend were 4-star above, and that team's good.
That's
but
why
they're not
Franklin
great.
Stays around and gets paid.
Yeah,
because he gets those guys.
He can recruit. There's no doubt that staff can recruit. It's a great question, but they do not overachieve. That is for sure.
Aaron Voss next. Mel Tucker said he has known a few of the football transfers in for a long time. What does that tell you about his ability to build and maintain relationships in a cash-crazy name, image, and likeness landscape?
So yesterday was interesting on the NIL front because I asked Mel Tucker about that specifically. Like I was trying to get more and more, and had some follow-ups, just trying to get a sense of, what the conversations that were had about NIL, what players are asking, and what their response is. Because Michigan State is not a school that's able to go in there and offer a bag. It's just not. Their compliance department ain't down with that. It's not going to happen. And it's not happening for some other schools. Not happening for Michigan. And there are some limitations. Ohio State is even losing kids to NIL. However, and so I think Tucker seems at peace with that, and you think some of it's getting sorted out. You're starting to see kids who have been scorned, who have had promises broken, and come into the portal. And I think he said there are a lot of people who are leery about promises right now.
But isn't that the strategy, though, to just make promises you can keep?
No doubt.
In this era, and let it all shake out in these schools that are, making promises they can't keep.
What he seems to understand really well is their strengths. And he said his staff is getting better at recruiting to MSU. And it's also the ability to, he thinks that they get kids on campus for official visits and they're able to get the kids away from the coaching staffs even. And it's not just the vibe and feeling comfortable, but it's the kids, the recruits talking with the players who are already on the team. He said, the key to, having a no bullshit approach is that you don't have to worry about what your own players are going to tell the recruits who are visiting, because they're going to give it real, and that's what you want. And so you want people who want to be there. I think they're starting to understand that. And yeah, is there a limitation that you're going to be limited by some 5 stars you can't get? Maybe. But Michigan State's not at the point to worry about that right now. They need to get as many 4 stars as they can. They need to keep stacking classes and developing classes and keeping kids. You don't want kids who are there for the wrong reasons. And he talked about that a little bit. And I think his relationships going back to Georgia especially are really paying dividends. You see, a number of kids who were either in the transfer portal or a JUCO transfer or whatever, and he's known these guys for a long time. And this is the advantage of coaching for a long time. And this is the reason. This goes back to like before the transfer portal, when Oakland University used to have lots of high major transfers in. Sadie Washington, when he was at Oakland, they used to recruit kids out of high school they had no chance to get, thinking we'll get you when you transfer. We'll get you at the next stop. Those relationships you never want to die.
Plus size softball dad next. How do we feel about MSU's early signing day? I'd like 2 more offensive linemen.
Well, they got 3 of them, which isn't bad. Yeah, I mean, you want to keep loading up. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't add 1 more. But again, it's also you don't want to bring people in that you don't think can play. I think it's an intriguing class. I think they did you don't know what a class is going to become. Otherwise, the 2016 class, we'd still be talking about how great they were. But I do think when you get 2 4-star offensive linemen and maybe the top junior college linemen in the country, and the 2 4-stars are early enrolling, which I think is important. Now we'll see if any of those guys play early. And you get a couple guys coming back that you didn't know were going to come back. I think that's a big deal. That's like getting a transfer. J.D. Duplain coming back, that's a transfer. I mean, they weren't going to get many transfers better than J.D. Duplain, and a guy who's been in the system, who's a seasoned Big Ten player. But no doubt, you don't want to ever have classes that don't have enough offensive linemen.
Plus size with this one. Chances the new manager bump continues for Aston Villa on Boxing Day.
Okay, hold on. Give me some Hoff.
Off.
Woo! So Aston Villa plays Liverpool. They're plus 352. They're at home. I like it a little bit. I want to see Liverpool play Man City today and see if they're, Liverpool plays Man City well, though. But it's not a bad long shot play at plus 352 on the money line.
Steve Beckman next. Do you think MSU missing a bowl game this year has had any real impact on this recruiting class?
I don't think so. I think 5 and 7 might have. I don't know that the bowl game itself. Now, obviously, if you don't go 5 and 7, you're in a bowl game. But I don't know that they're not actively preparing to play in some bowl game. It hurts. But I do think the overall record did have an impact to some degree, and when they downplayed it. But I just think there's just no way it didn't. If you look at the kids who decommitted and sort of the way when they had momentum and when they didn't have momentum, they absolutely it absolutely made a difference.
Next one from Beckman. What percentage of MSU football fans do you think actually pay attention to recruiting other than on signing days?
I don't know what. I mean, you don't care that much.
I don't.
Yeah, I think it's probably.
I'm intrigued a little bit, but not that much.
I think there are layers and levels because I know quite a few who don't care all that much. I mean, they'll read the signing day story. They care about that.
If it were more open and shut, like the players announcing, 8 schools and stuff like that, to keep up with that, I don't know.
Yeah, well,
it doesn't sound appealing to me.
And I do think the amount of decommitments and stuff and things like that, I think, turn people off and make it. I mean,
but if I see it on Twitter, I will check it out. I do like to see the rankings, but other than that, I don't like the in-depth 24/7 stuff. I don't.
Yeah, I would say it's less than 30% that are really, really, really into it, and then there's probably another.
See, I figured it would be a little higher.
I don't think so. And the way and I think about 40% though are into it if it's interesting. If things are going, they're not checking. When I say really into it, I'm talking going on the message boards all the time, checking on knowing who the recruits are
Tweeting
before
at
they're signed.
recruits.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty low number. But then there's another number that's interested when kids are when they hear something's happening.
Yep.
Okay, and that's a much larger bit.
Steve, with this one, how much sports will you watch this weekend with 11 NFL games on Christmas Eve and 3 NFL games and 5 NBA games on Christmas Day?
I will watch as much as I can. And by the way, if you are going to be able to watch any sports and just want to enjoy this holiday, even if you're not able to watch sports, you're just enjoying it with the family, make Groovy Donuts part of your holiday weekend. Groovy Donuts is excited to announce that all of their holiday donuts will be available this week. Gingerbread cake donuts, dark chocolate candy cane old fashioned, the snowman, white chocolate candy cane bar, the Christmas wreath, Christmas tree, the Grinch. They are available, though, pre-order only. So go to groovydonuts.com, place your pre-order, whatever you want. They'll put together a great assortment of holiday donuts that you can make part of your Christmas experience. They are not going to be open on Friday because of the storm. They made that decision for the safety of their employees not to be open Friday, but they will be open on Saturday, Christmas Eve, from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m., both in Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing and in Williamston. And so place your orders, or you can just swing by and pick up some donuts and enjoy the games or enjoy the holiday with Groovy Donuts. So to the how much football do you think you watch this
All
weekend?
of it. Yeah, we're not going to Illinois due to the weather now. That's where T's family is. So I'm going to be sitting. Hopefully we get a bunch of snow, got enough food, got an ounce of weed. I'm good to go.
Little Skymint, little Groovy Donuts.
TVs everywhere.
TVs. Now, I do
It's my
wonder.
glory. That's the best Christmas gift ever.
The storm, like I understand the storm is inconvenient for people. And when you go to Myers, there are a lot of people panicking like it's the stuff off the shelves, like early pandemic. You're like, geez.
People still do that?
Apparently.
Oh.
I mean, it's
It's not going to be bad. I
right.
don't
By
think.
Christmas Day, it's supposed to be fine. But I do understand that it did hasten and move up the ability for people to Christmas shop. Like if you thought you had Friday too to get things done, you're like, crap, I need to get this. So I understand. But I also wonder how many people are grateful for the storm. Like how many people didn't want to go on their holiday travel plans that had to cancel. For a lot of
Not
people,
me.
it sucks. But
I'm bummed.
yeah. Say it twice.
I'm bummed.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm bummed. I mean, her family's great.
Yeah, I know. I'm just kidding.
It's more of the going to places, getting out of that.
Yeah.
Traveling.
I'm not
Save
heartbroken.
that
We had something Friday evening in Holland that was with my wife's aunt and her friend that was going to be. I mean, I liked them a lot, but I'm okay staying back home.
We had 7 notifications on the way in yesterday for the weather.
Chris Eastlick must be just
I'm just going to blame him.
yeah, his brain must be fried.
Steve Backman, if you have Christmas trees in your house, what's your favorite ornament on them? And counterpoint to Max Spade, what's the ugliest type of ornament?
We
have a bunch of different
Do you have a
ones.
tree up, by the way?
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. We did not do a tree this year, we just both were busy and just decided not to do it. We set up our other decorations, just didn't do a
I
tree.
think you guys are becoming like a Jehovah's Witnesses or something. Like you don't even want to, no tree, no effort, no gifts.
This year's been
Jesus.
Yeah, it's not been
How depressing.
not been our finest. Not been our
I
finest.
mean,
effort.
yeah. Our tree's dead already, so.
Is it really?
Yeah, so you probably did a smart thing.
How is the tree dead already? When did you get it? Like
Fuck, I
October?
don't know. No, we actually got it like December 2nd or something like that.
It's crazy.
I know.
Yeah, I don't favorite ornament. I like these little. I used to have these little. Sentimentally, these little sleds with their names on it that were given to us when we were little. I don't know, things like that. I don't really have a great ornament. I know when I first put up a tree with my wife when we were still dating, all my ornaments were like, some were sentimental, but then when I first got a tree in Freeport, Illinois, I had gone to Menards and bought a bunch of ornaments, and I had like a random salmon fish and a like a Homer Simpson. And my wife just looked at me and she said, that's not our tree. Yeah.
Doug Warren next. Does Santa Claus believe in the Detroit Lions? I think everybody is believing. National media. I'm feeling better about things.
My issue with Santa and the Detroit Lions is historically he's screwed the Detroit Lions this time of year.
Why?
Well, I mean,
bring them gifts.
I go back to 95, the closest year to this, when Wayne Fontes was going to lose his job if they didn't make the playoffs. They win 7 straight to make the playoffs with Herman Moore, Scott Mitchell, Johnny Morton, Brett Perriman, Barry Sanders, all that crew. And they're going to play because Yancey Thigpen for the Pittsburgh Steelers drops a pass against the Green Bay Packers on the final play of the regular season. The Lions then have to go on the road instead of hosting a playoff game. They go to Philadelphia. My family and I raced home from Rochester, New York with cousins in the holidays to see the game and to sit and watch on our own TVs. I had just gotten a Barry Sanders New Jersey. This is 95, Christmas 95. And that disaster unfolded. And so that, I'm just saying.
So how is this Santa's fault?
I'm just saying he wasn't helpful that year.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
This is a good time, though. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we will do the Santa Rube story, and then we'll dive back into your Groovy Donut Twitter questions. Yeah. Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and our friends at Firekeepers Casino and iCasino and Sportsbook app.
Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Ever wondered just how comfortable you can be? Find out with Muskox high-quality flannels. Muskox is a Detroit-based company that creates durable comfort that'll last a lifetime. Muskox flannels are thoughtfully designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. This will be the softest flannel you'll ever buy, guaranteed. For every $100 purchase, Muskox will donate $10 to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center. Get comfortable this fall and winter with Muskox flannels. Learn more or order yours today at gomuskox.com.
Christmas is around the corner and beautiful jewelry is on her Christmas list. So where will you go to buy that gorgeous diamond ring or that sparkly diamond necklace or that incredible diamond bracelet? Meadowar Jewelers' 4 locations by the Lansing Mall by Meridian Mall in Jackson and in Portage have the largest selection and the latest designs of beautiful jewelry that she's been dreaming of. If an engagement ring is on your mind, come into Meadowar Jewelers and let our professional staff explain to you all about natural and lab-created diamonds. Our diamonds are set by master jewelers whose passion for their art shows so clearly in each and every piece. So, for that perfect gift that's on her Christmas list, come into Meadowars by the Lansing Mall by Meridian Mall in Jackson and in Portage, and we'll help you find it.
Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Download the app at firekeeperscasino.com. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Skymint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Skymint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Skymint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Skymint Cannabis. You'll love this place.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
I'll be stoned for Christmas.
Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis. Still celebrating the 12 days of bundles. Some great deals through Christmas at your nearest Skymint location. Go to skymint.com for details of those specials, just go to Skyman.
Yeah.
Make your Christmas a hell of a lot.
Get there before the storm comes.
Yeah,
You're
hell
gonna
of,
need
hell of a lot better. And also our Thursday afternoon show brought to you by our friends at Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. All right, there's is Santa Rube here?
Yep.
All right.
Hold on. There he is.
Oh, sweet. All right.
Ho, 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 children.
Please tell us the great story of Santa Rube.
Oh, sorry. Santa Rube need to be have his memory jogged. All right. Let me first tell you who was a part of this. My cousin Nick. My cousin Nick was the reason why this whole story happened. And my cousin Nick was probably hornier than Chad Latz. He was a guy that loved to go out, loved the ladies. He was a personal trainer, good-looking kid, had success with ladies. Why wouldn't you want to go out? So it's Christmas Eve. My Uncle Ron has a tradition at Christmas Eve. We go over there and get shit-faced and then go to church. I am not a big church guy, but I respect my uncle. He likes going, so therefore I go. So anyway, my cousin's already on his phone, just like trying to find some girl, somebody to hang out with tonight. Because, come on, son, we got to go. We got to go after, after we're done with this Christmas thing at the church, we got to go. I know this girl, and she's got a friend. That's how he would always get me into this. She's got a friend, because that always works out. And we lived together, so I knew what he was trying to do, because every, Monday, Tuesday, he wanted to go to the bar every night. So anyway, I'm like, all right, we're all having a good time. It's midnight mass, so we get out at probably 1 o'clock. And my cousin goes, all right, son, let's go, man. Where are we going? Charlotte. I'm like, Charlotte? Fuck. For people that don't live here, it's 35 minutes away from Lansing. And she's got a friend. She's got a friend. I'm like, whatever. So we get some booze, head over to Chartucky, they call it. And this young lady answers the door, and I'm like, where's his friend at? So we're hanging out. And so I'm a good wingman, right? I see that there's no opportunity. I mean, there's friends that come over afterwards, but, nothing's going to happen. So I take that opportunity because I'm like, shit, I'm going to have to sleep on this couch. So I better start power drinking because there's I need something to help me get to sleep. Booze, melatonin, NyQuil, anything, right? So I just get hammered. I'm like, I tell him as he goes in, they hang out, go into the bedroom, whatnot. So I tell him, I'm like, listen, dude, before he went in the bedroom, I'm like, hey, we got to get out of here. It's fucking 3 a.m. It's crazy. He's like, yeah, I know. So anyway, there's Jason, Santa Rube, sitting on the couch, just getting hammered. Finally, I pass out. And I don't know, it felt like an hour went by, but I wake up and I look at my phone and it's 6:30 in the morning. I'm like, shit. So dry mouth, obviously. I'm just still drunk. I'm just like, what is happening? Sweating profusely. So I look into the bedroom and my cousin's not up, right? And I'm like, what the fuck? So I go back to the couch. I tried messaging him because I don't want to walk in on this room. You don't know what you're going to walk in on. So I text him well, dude, we got to get the fuck out of here. Come on, let's go. And so as I'm waiting, I feel there's someone in the room with me, and I look over and it's a 7-year-old girl. And I'm like, what the fuck? And she goes, are you Santa? And I go, and now at this point in my head, I'm going, this answer will dictate this young girl's life. I could give her an answer that would make her want to become a stripper or something. There's a lot of pressure on me here. I wasn't expecting a 7-year-old. So I said, no, Santa was here, as you can see by the presents here. So as she's walking over towards the presents, I see my cousin, and I'm looking at him. I'm like, you motherfucker. I go, let's go. She comes out of the bedroom holding a fucking baby, a 6-month-old baby. I'm like, what is happening? I look at him. He knows that we have to get out of here. And I tell her, the young girl that thought I was Santa, I said, why don't you just open a gift? Let's break this awkwardness with a gift. She opens it up, and it's a board game. And right then I go, all right, dude, we got to go. So I get my cousin. I'm like, what the fuck happened? We get all the way home. It's 7 a.m. I'm hungover. I feel like complete shit. We get home, and I forgot my phone at her place. So he had to message her, and I had to drive all the way back to Shartucky at 7 in the morning, feeling like complete shit. I just showed up, and I'm like, she just had the phone outside the door, like you just like to hand it to me. I'm like, all right, see you later. That was fun. So that's the Santa Rube story.
It's a hell of a story, man. It is a hell of a story. I mean, you changed a young girl's life. I don't know what's happened to her since. I can't imagine good things.
Oh, if she's anything like her mother.
Yeah, but the fact that this is what makes you a good guy. Is that in that moment, hungover, dry mouth, sweating profusely, a young child believes you are Santa, and you spring into action. And even though you got the bad luck of it being a board game and not something really, really fun, you were able to, It
was like Clue or something, too. I'm like, hey, what are you getting your kids
that's not
here?
Great. That's not great.
Yeah.
That's not
So,
great.
yeah, that was, I just didn't know what was going on. It was like a daycare center he took me to.
It's one of the great ones. That is definitely a story worth telling, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing. That's 402 South Washington Avenue. This time of year is one of my favorite times to be at Midtown Brewing Company. Unbelievable place to just it's got this cozy, spacious vibe, like the frost on the windows, good bar seating for that. Like, I don't know. It's just a great place for a date night, for a drink after work. My buddy Matt Mancarini, who many of you know, is going to be back in town briefly next week. We will be at Midtown Brewing Company enjoying an American stout and a good meal.
You have to do a shot of
weekends.
eggnog every time Graham mentions Matt Mancarini.
A lot of drunk people out now. By the way, eggnog, fan, no, we had this question the other day, but when you drank, you didn't like it, right?
No. It's just too thick, like buttermilk.
We have a friend who makes homemade eggnog. It's fantastic. It's unbelievable. And they make a ton, and it saves pretty well if you preserve it correctly, I guess.
With booze in it?
Yeah.
They put booze in it. Nice.
So, even in the summer, if you're like a backyard get-together, they'll bring some over, and it's
eggnog
really good.
in the summer?
It's so good. You can't help yourself. It's that good.
Yeah. Jeff Peterson next. So, after another ho-hum win against a less-than-stellar Oakland team, how concerned is Graham that a man bra is in his future? Storm watch, storm warning, or generational blizzard on the way?
Not really concerned at all, because I think
played well in the second half.
Yeah, I'm just not concerned. I mean, the Oakland game's always a weird game. They've had some really close games, and where I will get concerned is if Malik Hall doesn't come back. But even more than that, I mean, he's supposed to be back in like a week. Boots off the foot. If there's another injury, if they don't have great depth, like if things start to pile up, I'll get concerned. They have a brutal gauntlet of games, but they're all against teams that are sort of similar to them in terms of ability. Like, they're going to win some, they're going to lose some. The Big Ten has done pretty well. I think a lot of wins are going to be quality wins throughout. I'm just not that concerned about it. Getting to 20, so right now they're 8-4. That means if they got to beat Buffalo, and then they've got to win 11 games between the regular season and Big Ten tournament before Selection Sunday. And I think they'll do that. So I feel pretty good about it.
Eric Larson next. When Malik Hall comes back to full strength, maybe mid-January, what do you think MSU's starting five is? Assume it will be either Akins, Walker, or Hall as your sixth man. Whoever it is has to be the best two-way sixth man in the Big Ten.
My guess is it's Tyson Walker. And I think Akins, it'll matter to Akins. He won't say it, but I think starting Akins will be what they do. And I think Walker could deal with that and is okay with it. He'll be in the final lineups. He's not like he's not going to be on the floor at the end of games. So I think he'll be, and he may be their leading scorer at the end of this year. And I think they'll want Hall and Hauser to play together. Sissoko's going to start. They need Hoggard out there. And it would affect Hoggard if he didn't. I think Walker's the guy that can handle it and makes the most sense because he's versatile in a number of guard positions. And I think it's Tyson Walker.
In Izzo's post game last night, did he talk about what he said to Maddie into that timeout? He was kind of like yelling at him. The players were kind of patting Maddie on his back, like saying, "Don't worry about it."
No, I missed that. I missed that because and Sissoko, I mean, he was playing against Oakland. It doesn't have a lot of good bigs, but he rebounded the way he's got to rebound last night, and that was good to see from him because early on, he looked like an above-the-rim rebounder, a guy who was going to be a real
It's the
force on the
most
boards.
baffling thing of the season, right? It was good to see him get those 12 boards, like you said. I mean, because he looked like he was an elite player in 2 of those games early on in the season, and I just don't know where that goes.
Yeah, I mean, nobody needs him to be a guy that can dump the ball to in the post and he can get 15 points. What they need him to be is a guy who's bringing down rebounds, setting screens, running the floor, catching lobs on the pick and roll and all that stuff.
Ron Quixote next. Turkey or Israel? Where does Paper Tiger big man Hunter Dickinson play his pro ball?
I don't know what he'll be as a pro, and like he's just the wrong generation for a big man. He's not quick enough. I don't see him as an NBA guy unless that 3-point shot really changes. But he'll be able.
What does he do well?
At the
Extremely
NBA
well.
level? Nothing really, and not for what the NBA game is today.
Right.
So he'll make a lot of money somewhere overseas. But yeah, wrong generation.
Just because you're good in college doesn't mean it's going to translate to the next level.
It just doesn't anymore. Yeah.
Quixote, Ron next. When Malik Hall comes back, who sees their minutes cut most to make room for him? Happy holidays, guys.
So this is a different question than who's starting, because I think it is a different answer too. And what becomes really interesting here, first of all, Jason Whitens is going to lose a lot of his minutes, probably all of his minutes. And so I think that's kind of the obvious one. Pierre Brooks will have a few less minutes, and you saw last night that Izzo was annoyed with him and he didn't play in the first half. But I think the answer to that starts with Jason Whitens. And then I also think what you'll see is less Carson Cooper maybe. You'll see less, because you will see more Hall and Hauser with certain lineups at the 4-5. And so my guess is a little bit of less for Pierre Brooks, pretty much all of Jason Whiten's minutes, and then some of the big guys' minutes.
Matt Urich next. What is Jordan Crawford's problem with Tom Izzo? He is going off on him again today on Twitter.
Yeah, I don't know where this began, and it's just about Izzo and his system holding people back. And
who's Jordan Crawford?
He gets into some racial stuff with him.
What?
It's the NBA player Jordan Crawford, right? Well, hold on. Let me
off. You mean Jamal Crawford?
Oh, Jesus. No, it's Jordan Crawford, the basketball player. Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, no, it was not Jamal. It's Jordan, but he's also
I didn't know him.
Former player. He's over in Barcelona and whatnot. He is he's 34 years old. He's a Detroit guy, so he probably has beef that goes somewhere. And I don't know what his beef is, but he clearly thinks Izzo holds back players, and you know what?
You could argue it.
Yep. If you're an NBA player and you may have conversations with other basketball guys who think they've been held back, and that's fair.
Don't coach my team.
Ken Chu next. What did Steven Izzo do at the end of the game that got Izzo so pissed?
Apparently, he did some trash talking after he got the rebound.
No way.
He did. Steven Izzo, the
Hell
legend.
Yes.
and apparently it wasn't so bad. I mean, the reasons for it, but whatever. It's
hell yes.
What was amazing on that court last night?
Love Steven Izzo.
Is you got Steven Izzo out there off the bench at Lansing Catholic. Got Blake Lampman, who was a good player, but not a great player at Hazlitt. In this college game. And seeing Blake Lampman and Rocket Watts in the same college backcourt to me is pretty remarkable. And to be honest, Lampman was the better player.
Love Steven Izzo. Max Spade next. Tell me how Rocket Watts is a cautionary tale in the era of the transfer portal.
Because I think most guys have to develop. And when you bounce around, you don't develop. You can't be the same player you were for most kids. And if Rocket Watts, there's some I think in some ways he needed to move on. That team needed him to move on. And it's just the way, unfortunately for him, the COVID year hit. They missed a whole offseason when they needed him to be a point guard. They didn't have another point guard. If things had been different for him, they might have been still worked out at MSU. But ultimately, if you are if you stay in a program and you grind it out and you buy in, you're much more likely to develop. He looks like a guy who has not developed at all, and he's bounced around. He's at his third school. And what I hope for Rocket Watts now is that he buys into Greg Kampe, and because I wrote about Rocket Watts a little bit in my quick takes, and the thing that and I like Rocket Watts. We had a lot of great conversations. I kind of have a soft spot for the kid, But he is somebody whose athleticism almost helps him and hurts him. He's not quite the athlete he thinks he is. He's not quite the vertical athlete. He's not quite the dominant athlete. So he's got to have a lot of other things to his game to be a great player at the college level, and that stuff hasn't happened, but he still thinks he can, all those step-back shots. Yeah, he's going to be able to get back that step-back three forever, but he's not Steph Curry as a shooter. There's a lot of things that he looks like the same dude as a couple years ago.
Max Spade up next. What is Steven Izzo's role on this MSU team? Will he stay in basketball as a coach after his playing days?
It's a good question. A story that probably needs to be.
Shit talker is his role.
Yeah,
apparently.
He's much more of a manager than the other walk-ons. I'll say that. Like, he does do some stuff on the scout teams in practice, like the other walk-ons and more role players. But you'll also see him doing more things that managers do in terms of rebound drills for other guys and things like that. And he understands who he is. So I think it's been a really, to me, it's been a cool story that his whole deal there with Izzo. I know people early on thought it was taking a spot away from somebody else, but he got 4, maybe another year, 5 years with his dad being part of that program that took his dad's time a lot when they were growing up, and they've gotten to spend a lot of time together, and it's worked pretty well.
Next one from Max. What do Coach Tucker and Coach Izzo want for Christmas that would benefit their teams?
Well, they're different things because Mel Tucker is out of season and Izzo is in season. So for Mel Tucker, you just want that late recruit, flip, somebody transfer that's got several years left that's 5-star kid. You just want something to develop late that's a real difference maker that you go, whoa. Michigan State's had a lot of good recruits, and they've got some guys that I think are potentially really good college players and are going to be fun to watch. But they have not landed that guy yet where you go, whoa. And that would be the Christmas gift. For Tom Izzo, it's just flat out. It's a little bit of Keon Coleman, which it still may happen. He talked about that last night. I asked him, and it's clear Malik Carr is not going to be joining the team. But he said that Keon Coleman's still coming back from a groin injury suffered late against Penn State, but they'll talk to Mel Tucker after Christmas and get a sense of whether that makes sense for them. And he thinks Keon Coleman could play. I mean, I don't think he thinks Keon Coleman would just be playing garbage time minutes. He either thinks he can defend and help. But I think more than that, for Tom Izzo, what he needs is good health for his roster.
Next one from Max Spade. Is it okay to give a coworker an ear and nose hair trimmer for Christmas?
No, not at all.
Well, how old are they? Because I got to admit, like in my early 20s, like I had no idea nose hair, I didn't think it was a big deal.
So would you wanted somebody to give you an actual?
I would have appreciated it. I'm saying if the person's like 40 or over, you're not going to change them.
But even so, it's just kind of rude. You don't even do that for a family member. You have to try to convince them to do it themselves. But it's not.
But I mean,
gift.
What if it's a gift? I mean, it's a gift if you wrap it.
But it says that you've got a problem here.
Well, yeah, but don't you appreciate when people say that? Like when your fly's down and someone goes, "Hey, man, your fly."
That's different. This is like saying you don't understand how to groom yourself. I mean, this
because it's true. If you have nose hair coming out of your fucking nostril,
I know. I just
looks like a snuffleupagus.
I think it would mess with my head if somebody came.
Well, wow. Okay.
I
enjoy the hell. I would say I really appreciate it. Thank you. I mean, if they have a bushel of ear hair, I mean, maybe they don't care, but you can't be offended. We're offending people with nose hair now. Jesus.
Yeah, but
it's like the most who gives a shit thing.
It's not.
If a coworker was like, "Hey, by the way, you got some nose hair, man. Like, use a trimmer." I use a trimmer.
Yeah, but everybody should just do that. If they don't, it's up to their spouse or somebody else to say, "Hey, but it's not up to you. It's not up to a coworker.
Be a friend, Max.
Don't do it."
Alpha Brett next. I got a couch, the Rube Care package, whose beautiful handwriting is on the package. That's Treese. That ain't me. I write like a third grader. So definitely was not me.
Not surprising.
I can write neat, but it takes a while.
Like 30 minutes.
We didn't have time to get all those shirts. By the way, all the shirts are out. Appreciate you. Appreciate everyone for ordering those. Appreciate my wife for doing all the hard work. I didn't do any of it. Matt Boone next. Not sure if I will get any answer for this, but any other additions to the 2023 MSU football class?
Yeah, I mean, I do think there will be a couple more. the question is, well, and there will be, I think, more up through. You'll see in that transfer window after spring ball. I think you will certainly see guys join. The one guy I would look for soon is Reggie Pearson Jr. And it may have happened by the time you listen to this, or not happened. He may go somewhere else, but could have played at Wisconsin and Texas Tech. A safety who I think is a big deal get for them. I do. I think he's a one-year guy, but he will plug into what Xavier Henderson was in a lot of ways. And that's a position I think we all saw the impact without Henderson. And so I think that matters. But I would expect them to add a couple other players too.
Matt Boone next. Is this MSU team a bad offensive team, or is MSU really missing Malik Hall and his presence and will make us not so shitty on half-court offense?
I do. It's not a great offensive team. I mean, it's not a team that scores a ton of points, right? So, but it's not. I don't like Jeff Heward gets so frustrated. Or the guy who runs Spotlight here, owns Spotlight Studio, so frustrated by MSU's lack of scoring. Yeah,
I knew that.
And Hall will help a lot though, because he will be. It's just like yesterday when you saw Michigan State without Pierre Brooks, and you see just the ball go to Jason Whitens in the corner for a three. You just see one less guy who can make a shot. Pierre Brooks is a guy who can make plays for himself, for other people, can shoot from can score from a number of places on the court. Just changes who they are offensively, and he's also a very cerebral player. And so you put him and Hauser and guys who just see the game a certain way on the floor, it'll make them a better offensive player. I don't think they're a bad offensive team. I think that's too much to say, but they're not a team certainly that plays with because their offensive efficiency numbers aren't horrible. It's just they don't play with great pace and consistency right now. But I think Hall will make a difference.
Matt Boone up next. Did you know Fran McCaffery has a DVD on being a championship defense? What do you think he is teaching about? How to recruit unathletic players that give up a bunch of points and scoring points is the best defense? Got to get this DVD.
So they just, by the way, they just lost to Eastern Illinois University in what people believe to be, and this is last night, they were 31.5-point favorites. People believe it to be the biggest upset in college basketball history, or at least modern history. Isn't that amazing? 31.5 points. There was no money line, so you couldn't cash in on that. So
of course not.
But yeah, no, I would. Look, Fran McCaffery's never been a defensive wizard. And it's sort of the reason I like it though is it's the opposite of the rest of the Big Ten. They win with offense, and yeah, they fade. They have the Fran fade a lot. I think he's got a good team this year, despite last night. I think there are dangerous games right before Christmas. We saw Arizona State lose a game to San Francisco badly. I just think that look, I don't hate Fran. I think he's an easy punchline, but he's got a stupid looking face.
Jesus, man. All right.
Yeah, I don't know where I'm going on this.
Matt Boone and plus size softball dad and Jordan Bunt, a threefer. Worst and best gift you have ever received or given. If you could get any gift, what would it be? And please don't use sponsor for a gift. Merry Christmas, gents, from all three of us.
Merry
Christmas, guys.
Yeah, appreciate you. Worst and best gift you've ever received or given. What's the best gift you've ever received?
I have told this before. I had a girlfriend get me a cashmere sweater one year because she was trying to like dress me. You know, she was trying to dictate my style, which whatever, all right, I get. But that thing was like a $200 and some shirt, so I took it back and got like 5 shirts. But I mean, that's pretty much the worst.
That's the worst. That's a hell of a gift.
I understand. I get that. After saying it, I understand that it probably sounds pompous, but like I was appalled that it was like $200+. I don't wear those kind of shirts.
Yeah, well,
and the best gift is obviously the BMX Diamondback bike in 1986.
Absolutely. And, the best gift is almost always something that you got when you were a kid.
Well, yeah,
because
being a kid ruled.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Getting old blows.
To me, it was the Dunkett. I think the Dunkett basketball hoop.
Oh yeah,
that was in the living room. That even as I got bigger, I put on a suitcase in the living room just so the breakaway rim. I was just And eventually, for a while, they got this cardboard version of it, and then they'd have to buy one every year. And eventually, they're like, okay, this is ridiculous. And they bought a better version. But that was incredible. Worst one I've ever gotten. I can't think of the worst gift I've given. Certainly on Christmas of 2015, I think it was. I was going to propose to my wife, and I bought an engagement ring that I was going to give her on Christmas night, and that was going to be the whole gift. We had an apartment in Chicago, and we had a house we were renting here, and that, it was going to be a romantic night. I was excited about it. I don't always do romance well. You might not guess.
I'm with you.
And so I
do it either.
I thought I've nailed this. I've got this. I bought this little Christmas tree for her too that she had there, and I had this nice engagement ring, and we are going to do an evening, and then I had to fly off to some bowl game. I think it was, I forget which one it was. Anyway, but her uncle, who lives in Wisconsin, thought she was going to be alone on Christmas, and so he made surprise plans. Or not surprise, but like a week before to come down. They were going to stay in Chicago, take her out to dinner, and then I was coming too, so take me out to dinner. So they made themselves part of Christmas. So now I'm fucked. I can't propose. I don't know where this evening's going. And I've got to buy gifts. So I bought her a vacuum dustbuster and a mattress pad. The mattress pad was actually pretty nice, but it went from engagement gift to a vacuum, or engagement ring to a vacuum, and that's probably the worst. I just panicked. I didn't know what to do. She actually wanted the vacuum, but still, in hindsight, as she opened it, it was kind of it wasn't great, and it was like 4 weeks before I was actually able to engage, and that was almost a disaster too, because I was up against the time I had a 30-day return policy on the ring, and we were only seeing each other every couple of weeks at that point, and I didn't know what to do, and so we were just watching a movie together, The Paper, with Michael Keaton, and good movie, 1994, if you get a chance, eventually, I'm like, I got to do this. And I went in the room. I get the ring. I come back out. She's fighting with UPS on the phone. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why she's fighting, but she's angry. So now I'm just pacing and sweating as I do. And then Sweaty Graham sat next to her after she got off the phone yelling at UPS and proposed. Very romantic. So that was, I don't know where that, again, storytelling is not my strength, but that was almost a story worth telling, presented by Midtown Brewing Company.
Sports Guy 1919 next. If you had to put $1,000 on the Super Bowl champ right now, who are you picking?
$1,000 on the Firekeeper's Eye Casino and Sportsbook app for a Super Bowl champ. Who are you taking?
God, I think I would go Chiefs, just because of their offense. I don't know.
I would go Eagles.
I don't know who I trust right now.
I would go Eagles for this reason. I don't think the Eagles necessarily beat.
Even with Hurts and the injury.
I don't know. Is he going to be what? How bad is that? Is it going to linger?
Who knows?
Here's the reason I would take the Eagles is this. I think the NFC is a better path than the AFC. So to me, I don't know if I trust the Eagles over any of about three teams. I guess the 49ers there too, but I just think the Eagles' path to the Super Bowl is probably cleaner than anybody in the AFC, and so that would be my reason for if I had to put $1,000, it would be the Eagles.
Next one from Sports Guy. Is 7 teams per conference too many playoff teams for the NFL? Was 6 just right? Well, with the Lions on that fringe, I like it.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I remember when they went to 6, I complained. It used to be 5. I wrote an essay in 4th grade when they were making the move to 6 that I didn't like it. Because I wanted, when the Lions finally did make it, I wanted to I thought it would take away from it if they went to 6. Now I'm very happy.
I'm the opposite. Add more teams.
But
so even get in there.
Even in 4th grade, I didn't like change.
Neurotic Pants next. Graham, have you ever interviewed Oakland's coach, Greg Campy? His interview with another podcast this week seemed very close to a confession or apology for the season. I almost wondered if he was playing head games. Is it coaches speak?
Yeah, no, I've interviewed him many times. He's very accessible, which is a great thing. They had a pipeline of Lansing kids forever that he built his program with. So I've done a lot of stories on Oakland throughout the years and talked to him quite a bit. And he is I don't think he's apologizing to the season. I think he knows that, they've got a little bit of injuries. They're not that good this year. It's not one of his best teams. But I didn't hear that podcast. But he's an unbelievable storyteller, great Great guy to talk to. We could have him on the show some summer or something and just shoot the shit with Greg Campy. It'd be a fun show. He'd be easy to get, and he's just terrific.
Come in July, we'll get hot dogs and Dr. Pepper.
Let's do it.
Whatever he likes. Mr. Neurotic Pants, Graham, bazooka to your head.
Bazooka time.
Would you replace MSU's special teams coordinator? What is Tuck's reasoning for not doing so?
Well, we don't know what he's going to do yet. I mean, he said he hasn't done anything yet, done planning, because you don't do it in the press conference. Like, that would be bad leadership. It's sort of like if you ask an AD, an athletic director, is this coach safe? The answer is, yeah, I believe in this coach. This is our head coach. Until you don't, and then they're gone. You do not. It's the great example was the AD at Illinois that went on a radio show and basically didn't endorse Bruce Weber, and the season fell apart, the team fell apart. It wasn't fair. And if I were the president of the university, I would have fired the AD that day and blackballed him and made sure he didn't work again in any industry, because that's shit leadership, man. You don't do that. Bad
That's
leadership.
my favorite ramble then. The guy asked earlier. That one is it.
That one, okay, that one,
yeah.
That one's it right there. So, yeah, so I don't know, I think I would bring in not a special teams coordinator as much as not enough programs have actual, like, kicking specialists. Like, I would actually want one in my program if I was going to spend money. And certainly special teams was not a strength last year. But I would want a specialist as part of that group without question.
Neurotic Pants. In all of your interviews and interactions with sports and media types, which stands out as the weirdest?
Weirdest. Yeah. I mean, Hondo is it. I mean,
he fucking tweeted at Elon Musk talking about something or other about his blue check mark. And I'm like, you legitimately think that Elon Musk is going to see Hondo Carpenter?
He'll notice it if you tweet bad shit about him, because he actually does get down in the dirt with that.
Yeah.
But no, the great Hondo stories are this. So you'd be sitting there in a press room or wherever it was, and you'd feel Hondo start to walk up behind you. And he'd say something like, "Hey, Graham, got a story for you, or got a minute, got some information for you." And then he'd say, "It's just between you and I." But he's told like 7 other people.
Yeah.
But just between you and I. And then he'd tell some interesting bit of information about something going on in MSU's program. Somebody who was going to get fired, somebody who was unhappy with somebody who was going to transfer. And I can't remember what we actually decided was the 33% rule, but I think it was this. The 33% rule with Hondo was, you always had to check it out because he was plugged in.
Yeah. And
33% of what he told you was true. 33% was sort of embellished bullshit, and 33% was just fabricated. Completely fabricated. Totally fabricated. So, you had to kind of, the 33% rule with Hondo. But yeah, Hondo is the most bizarre experiences I've ever had in journalism, period. And that goes back to when I was in Kalamazoo and he was making up stories. And Cody Tucker's experience with Hondo are X-rated. Can't even get into those on a Christmas special.
Some dude next. I love the Hail Mary, but as a regular play, do you think if you ran it like the second quarter on 2nd and 3 from the 45, that it would have a chance? All the DBs would have to be confused as fuck as all the guys run to the corner of the end zone, and you'd have like 5 receivers down there to catch it.
I don't hate this. I don't hate this idea that you couldn't do it regularly, because once you was scouted, it was
there's no pass rush, I guess.
But if you ran like a Hail Mary in the first quarter, there's a chance at interception, but essentially it's a punt.
Don't give Dan Campbell any ideas.
He'll do this in the Super Bowl.
It's a core foundation, man. Grit.
I don't hate. I like the creativity.
Grit. Hail Mary on 2nd down. Kevin Cakeley next. Who is your favorite Detroit Lion from the 90s, not counting Barry, Herman Moore, or Spielman? Jesus. All right, some of mine for reference. Brett Perriman, Benny Blades, Mel Gray, Corey Schlesinger, Lomas Brown, and Kevin Glover.
I loved Mel Gray returning kicks. And for those who are too young to remember, he was, one of the reasons I did not like Deion Sanders for a while, and I did not like a couple other people in the NFL, was that they got more pub than Mel Gray. Mel Gray was better than anybody at returning kick. He was unbelievable. He was probably my guy. Who's yours?
Not counting Sanders, Herman Moore, or Spielman. I got to say, I love Corey Schlesinger.
Yeah.
Because he was the blocker for Barry, and he just hammered guys. He just played his ass off. I mean, Mel Gray's not a bad. All these guys were awesome. But Kevin Cakeley. What is the quarterback that had the best chance to get the Lions to a Super Bowl? Ty Detmer, Eric Kramer, Scott Mitchell, Rodney Peete, and Charlie Batch.
I mean, none of the above, except Charlie Batch was the guy I wanted. Well,
Mitchell, though, I mean, when he had more impairment,
that
he
year,
could launch it. But
I still think if they get a home playoff game in '95, that team was rolling. That maybe they move, maybe they keep going a little bit.
I haven't watched Rodney Peete highlights nor Eric Kramer highlights, so I would have to go back and look. I would say Kramer, right?
Yeah, well, he's the one who was the quarterback when they lost in the NFC Championship. So Charlie Batch is my guy. I still keep thinking he's going to come back and be the answer. Him and Jermaine Crowell, it's going to happen.
He didn't pass away. I mean, he's still around.
I know,
he
but
just can't play at 45.
Brady's playing. Why can't he?
Well, is Charlie Batch? Oh, maybe he's older than that.
And by the way, one of the cool things about Groovy Donuts is, say you wanted to do your favorite Detroit Lions collection of Groovy Donuts, Monica would do that for you at Groovy Donuts. Like, you could have a Lomas Brown, Brett Pearman, Benny Blades, Mel Gray, Corey Schlesinger, Kevin Glover box of Groovy Donuts. She would do their jerseys, their face. She might kill me for this. But just like Christmas donuts that you can pre-order at groovydonuts.com, they'll do all sorts of specials. So when the Lions get in the playoffs and you're about to sit down and have your day watching the Lions, make Groovy Donuts part of that day, of course, part of your holiday. Again, groovydonuts.com, and then 2 locations, Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing and in Williamson, open this Saturday, Christmas Eve, 7 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Charlie Batch is 48 years old, by the way.
Oh, that's tough to play.
Nick Palmer next. Rate the Tigers' offseason moves.
Oh, boy. Okay, needs some off.
Off. There really isn't many. Shouldn't be much off.
I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom.
Okay, so they brought in Michael Lorenzen, who I didn't hate that move. What was it, 1-year deal? I mean, Matthew Boyd, don't hate having him back. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, but these aren't moves that
no, they haven't done anything that
aren't
really
exciting.
Yeah, they haven't done anything yet that that makes you think that okay, they're
just be patient.
They
That's all we have to do.
They brought back what's his name? The guy who had vertigo or whatever last year. The
Jack Morris.
Fuck you. Hold on.
Frank Tanana.
Damn it.
Willie Hernandez.
Chet Lemon. Meadows. Austin Meadows. And I mean, I like that because to me it felt like when they signed him, he was a good player and he had a horrible year. But baseball players sometimes have that. And like, I'd like to see if they can still get anything out of him.
Yeah, but guys go into slumps. But Meadows, man, he's been god awful.
Yeah, it has not been a year where you've gone, what they have not done yet is that the Pudge Rodriguez type Meglio Ordonez.
You just get an accent saying that?
This is my fucking city, you know?
Pudge Rodriguez.
You know what I'm looking forward to is the Tigers updates next.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nick Palmer. Where is MSU's recruiting base outside of Michigan?
Well, Georgia seems to be the place that kids are either from to some degree or I mean, they just brought a ton of guys there, and that's Mel Tucker's roots. And I think you have to, as a coach, you recruit to your strengths. I covered Western Michigan University when I lived in Kalamazoo.
Shot of eggnog.
There you go. And the coach there at the time had tons of South Florida connections, and his first staff did. And they recruited. They got a lot of really good players, including guys like Louis Delmas out of South Florida, out of South North Beach, whatever it was.
Need some off?
No, I'm not gonna look it up. I'm gonna miss the saddest part about this show being the last show of the year for us, as it's the end of Feliz Navidad for a year.
Yes, that's what makes it so great. Nick Palmer, is it time for Oakland basketball to make a coaching change?
No, because he's been there 39 years. He's an institution. He is a brand.
He goes away when he wants to, I guess.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, he took them from Division II to Division I. They've won them in the Horizon League, and I understand that at some point he may stay a little bit too long too. But he is still somebody that gives them some gravitas to who they are. You don't know that you're ever going to have that against Oakland. It's not that it's a bad job. I think somebody else will do it well. A guy like, the guys at Grand Valley now, I think would do a nice job. Cornell Mann, who's Malik Carr's dad. There'll be a lot of coaches who would like that job and would do a nice job with it. But you're not getting
I mean,
rid
the
of,
only way is if the players come to the athletic director, something like that. They just, you got to keep Campy.
Yeah, you just get rid of the players. You're not getting rid of Greg Campy.
Yeah. Couch on Fire next. Is Michigan going to prove your hypothesis wrong about building an O-line through the portal? They have 3 this cycle.
It's interesting. Because obviously if you get good offensive linemen in the portal, you can build through a portal. It's just really hard to do. I'm curious to see how it gets paid. Now, I'm not all that familiar with their pedigree or why they're leaving or any of that stuff. But I still think it's a hard way to build through the portal. I mean, you can get a guy here and there. Michigan State's done it a little bit. Jarrett Horst, so-so results. The kid they've got now, the JUCO transfer, I think is but JUCO's a little different. That's been around forever. And those guys have to leave. Like their time is up at the junior college. There's a finite, so they're going to move on to a 4-year school if they can. So that's not they're leaving someplace, and what's the reason?
Next one from Couch on Fire. Seems a lot of long shots on most of the MSU transfer portal choices. Any thoughts?
I don't know about long shots. I like the running back, the Carter kid out of UConn. I mean, I've watched quite a bit of film on him. I think there's some guys who are just going to be depth guys. I think the defensive lineman out of Florida State, depth guy. There are other guys. The kid out of Texas A&M, was a top 50 recruit a couple years ago, maybe more, and he's got 3 years of eligibility. So, I don't know if they're long shots. I don't know, but I don't know that there's. The thing I've learned about the portal is we just don't know till we see him. We just don't know. I mean, Jarek Broussard was talked about as being like Kenneth Walker last year, but a little bit smaller. And, some of these SEC, Ronald Williams was supposed to be a guy who elevated Michigan State's defensive backfield. And then Kenneth Walker was just a backup or a guy who shared time at Wake Forest. So we don't know what we don't know until they get here.
Next one from Couch on Fire. Do you think Michigan will make the NCAA tournament in basketball this year? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, too. I don't know. They have not won any of their kind of marquee non-league games, so they're going to have to do some work in conference play. They obviously have a great player in Dickinson. I think there's the makings of a good team there, and they've had some injury bad luck, and they'll get the bump for being Michigan, as Michigan State gets for being Michigan State. Michigan State is helped by that as well. But I think it's probably 50-50 at best that they get in. I've watched enough. At times they look like a pretty damn good team, but I've watched enough to know they're going to take some losses in the Big Ten.
Next from Derek Spartan. If you had to name a pantheon of greatest athletes ever across any sport, who would be in yours? Name that came to mind: Jordan, Tiger, Ali, Federer, Phelps, Howe, Messi, Pele, Nadal, Djokovic, and Russell and Magic.
All right, we'll do the major sports. Best basketball player. When you think best basketball player all time,
I go Michael Jordan.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you on Michael.
I watched it in its prime.
Yeah, it was incredible.
It's tough to pick anyone else.
All right, best football player of all time.
Best football player.
Is it Brady?
Oh, yes, Tom Brady.
Yeah. I love Elway, but it's Brady.
I was trying to go back to the 80s and 90s. You'd probably hear my brain fucking working.
Joe Namath. Best golfer, Tiger, right?
Yeah.
Best boxer. To me, 80s Tyson, though, is – I didn't see Ali in his prime. Like, 80s Tyson, when the fights lasted 30 seconds, is still as dominant as anything I've ever seen.
Yeah. You could say Floyd, Mayweather, 50-0.
Yeah.
I think Bo Jackson across the board, though, is my favorite athlete. Guy that could just there's tales of lore of his stories, and I don't know. I love that dude.
Yeah, give me Federer in tennis over Djokovic. It's been a great era, but give me Federer. In hockey, I don't know if it's Howe. I would say it's Gretzky actually. And then I don't know in soccer either. It's tough.
Kurt Wisniewski next. What's the best booze gift for the holidays? Gift card or cash for Christmas? Merry Xmas, gents.
Appreciate you, Kurt. Merry Christmas to you, too.
Christmas, buddy.
Well, Jason doesn't do booze, so I'll answer this. It's a nice bottle of whiskey to me. If you're going to do a nice Christmas gift, it's booze.
Well, I used to drink a lot of booze, so I know what I'm talking about.
All right, well, for you, what would it be?
Probably something. It depends on the person, though, right? I mean, whatever they drink in the fancy version. There's always a fancy version of it.
Yes, and presentation is everything. Like you can show up with Natty Light, but if you present it right, maybe not.
That's coming straight in a cooler.
Yeah,
that's hanging off your side of your hip.
And cash. The gift card or cash, I mean,
fucking cash. Dude.
I knew you were going to say that. To me, the gift card is at least puts forth a little more effort of a place, of an experience. What? It's an experience you think they might enjoy, and so the gift card.
Using a credit card, I use that all the time. It sucks.
To me, it's
cash money.
It's
baby.
the gift card.
All right, Clint One Ball Baney next. The second year in a row that we rank tops in the transfer portal finds. Will this trend greatly diminish once Mel throws out the last of D'Antonio's subpar recruits?
In terms of number of transfers and all that stuff, they're going to. I mean, they only had 14 kids in this class right now. So say they get to 17 high schoolers, there's going to be a point a couple years from now where you're going to bring in transfers to supplement this class. So I don't think the cycle's over, and I think it's still a mix they're figuring out. I asked Mel Tucker yesterday about the calendar and how I don't think it works, and he basically said, it's chaotic and it probably doesn't, but he'd rather this than like grind it the way they've had to for the last few weeks all the way to February. I mean, I think it takes its toll on these guys. I think overall they need to be heavier high school, fewer transfers, but you ultimately want to build the best roster you can. So what you want to not have to do is be filling holes with transfers. You want to be finding transfers that you think elevate your program. And so I think right now they're doing both, and I think you want to get to a point where there really aren't that many holes, but you've got guys in your own roster that can provide depth and all that. But, boy, you see a kid that's interesting in the portal and you think you can elevate your team, then you go get him.
Next one from Clint. What is the more incendiary term, little brother or Walmart Wolverine? I've had 2 times at local watering holes where very sensitive Walmart Wolverines took offense to it, to the point of having their warthog women step in front of them and take them out of the bar. But, of course, they started talking shit first, and I called it as I saw it.
More incendiary.
Warthog.
Little brother or Walmart Wolverine?
It's Walmart Wolverine.
So if you say to a Michigan fan you're a Walmart Wolverine, that's more put down than little brother?
I don't know. Neither one offends me, so it's hard to – I'm trying to figure it. I would have to ask a diehard. You know what I mean? Like I feel like Michigan State people would say little brother. Michigan people would say Walmart Wolverine.
Right.
Right? I mean.
And both are,
accurate?
Well, the thing is, if you didn't go to Michigan, like the whole idea of Walmart Wolverine is you didn't go to Michigan, you couldn't get in. So, like if you didn't go to Michigan State,
Spartan, then?
You shouldn't use that. Yeah, but that's what there shouldn't be a problem with that.
GED Spartan.
You didn't go to the school. Who gives a shit if you're a fan of the school? Like you going to the school doesn't mean you've done any more to help the football team. Doesn't make
I just
you any,
couldn't imagine over the age of 40 almost getting into a fight at a bar. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm just getting super old and I don't drink anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just seems weird. Warthog.
It takes a lot. It would take a lot for me to get in a fight these days.
Really?
It would take a lot.
What would it take?
Me feeling legitimately threatened. You know what I mean? Like it would not. Like I would have to feel like physically legitimately threatened, or my wife being physically legitimately threatened.
That's the answer.
Yeah. Because even me, I'd rather just take the punch.
I don't know how long it would take you to recognize that you were threatened, though.
Somebody would have to swing.
You're right. Like someone would have to come with an axe or something. Last one from Clint. Will the Lions snag a wild card spot?
I have a bad feeling it's not going to happen. I'm
not saying anything.
Yeah. My sense is, like, at this point, I'm betting against the Lions every week, willing to lose the money.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
What I can just sense is that smug Aaron Rodgers is going to be – they're going to be playing Aaron Rodgers in the last game of the year, needing to win. And they're
different, though.
And they're also going to need – the problem is they may do it, but they're also going to need Philadelphia or Dallas to beat, like, the Giants and somebody else.
These guys have bought all in. This isn't some Matt Patricia just hoping something happens or Marty Morningweg and all this stuff.
And to your point, nobody took down the Patriots for 2 decades until Matt Patricia started calling plays there.
It's unbelievable. I love Belichick, but Jesus. JD next. I thought Michigan couldn't accept transfer players because of their high academic standards. Am I supposed to suddenly believe programs like Indiana and CCU are on the same level as Michigan academically?
So they are getting more transfers in. That's been an issue for them. Graduate transfers has not been an issue for them. So I think you have to look at where the transfer level is. They can take transfers, grad transfers. It's the undergrad transfers they've had some issues with at different times.
Next one from JD. Speaking of, is it a good idea to tweet about academics at other schools when you're 22 and your major is undecided?
Not ideal. Plus, I think he's got to be older than 22, right? He was like 23 as a freshman. So, no, it's look. But he's Hunter Dickinson has brought this on himself. When you do a podcast, paid for a podcast, he's a professional podcaster, and you go on and you rip your rival and you belittle them, you're asking for this. And so, this is all fair. If it wasn't fair, it'd be different.
If you're doing an hour podcast, as we know, you're going to say something stupid.
Right? We usually do.
You have to fill the time. So you're going to say something.
But still, you can. I'm careful of, there are Twitter questions that did not make this field of Twitter questions about Hunter Dickinson.
Yeah.
So that I thought were unfair or offensive to other listeners. Like there are places you don't
dick
go.
And balls. What worse?
There's worse. There's worse. There's worse. When you start talking about disabilities and things, it gets bad.
Yeah. Okay. JD, why is Solari turning off replies for most of his tweets? Tired of the trolls?
I didn't realize he was, and probably to some degree, people give him a lot of shit, and he's doing his job. I mean, he's not here to support.
But Solari knows what he's doing when he's tweeting some of that shit out, though. You're not going to get everyone to like you.
No, and he does. I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't in his own way poke the bear.
Right.
But yeah, I guess I didn't realize he had done that.
Fart Soup next. If you two were to give Hondo one of these socks that just so happened to be full of purchased items, what would be in it? Liquor? Hawaii Spa gift cards? After Couch does a live read, I want the real answers.
Yeah, no, it would be.
I wouldn't do that to the ladies at Hawaii Spa.
Right. No, that would
they already have it bad with truckers and whatnot.
No, but
no offense to truckers. But.
Yeah, and I worry about even like a Midtown or Front 43 or gift card to Hopcat, which by the way has you buy 30 for every $30 you buy, you get $10 free in gift cards. So there's some good deals going on right now at Hopcat.com. But I wouldn't want to do that because Hondo, you talk to Cody Tucker, it's like he's going to maximize the.
I think both those dudes eat.
That's true. So what would be in it for Hondo? It would probably be. You know what I would do is I would.
Need some Hoff?
I would probably. I was trying to think of a way to get back at him for costing me 4 hours in Philadelphia in 2006 on a story that was made up that I had to chase, but I can't come up with it.
You got paid for it.
I did, but I had the afternoon to myself before a basketball game to explore Philly, and instead I had to debunk a story on a coaching move that was completely fabricated.
33%.
Yeah.
Fart Soup. Who am I supposed to pay attention to for recruiting rankings? 24/7 rivals, whatever that new thing Comparoni put together. Come on.
Yeah, On3 is by the same guy who started 24/7. So that's where Comparoni is, and my issue with On3 is that they've done a lot of things with they're part of the program in terms of NIL, and I don't dig that. It's further away from journalism, I think, than even some of the others. But yeah, I think all of them have their thing. Read what you like, believe it when you see it on the field.
Next one from Fart. How is it that Graham thinks jamming a bunch of purchased objects into a sock is not gift giving? A present in a sock is still a present.
It's a really good point. But you'll be happy to know that we decided not to do stockings last night. We just gave each other our gifts. We already had a little bit, but anyway.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Cucker, Tarleson. Not sure if y'all are familiar with Ariel Helwani, but on his MMA Hour podcast, they read off these insane parlays. People making thousands off less than $10. Some of that are plus 50,000 odds or better. No idea how to spot or how these people hit. What's the biggest parlay you've ever hit?
it makes me want to pay attention to that. And I know my friend Dan Kilbridge makes a lot of money on MMA bets. He loves it. Biggest parlay you've ever hit? What have you hit?
I mean, I've hit 10 to 1s,
Yeah.
15 to 1s. I mean, a couple $100, nothing to that point. And I, to be honest with you, conspiracy theory, I think some of those are plans. So they get other people to go, well, shit, if he can do it, I can do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think a lot of that, but I don't know.
Yeah, I've won, a lot of 3-teamers over time. I'm trying to think the most. I know I won something that was basically like 60 to 1, but I only had like $10 on it once. So that was a really big odds, but it only paid so much. So paid like $600 or something like that. That was probably my best longest odds parlay that I've ever won.
Hans Jurgen next. The MSU football program landed its most 4-star recruits ever. Should we lose more often?
Yeah, I think they would add more if they'd won, though. So I don't think that's the play, But I will say this: Michigan State, when they got the 9 4-stars under Mark D'Antonio, it was done coming off of unprecedented winning, and this, while there was 11-2 for part of it, was also done amid a 5 and 7 years. So it does say something to the recruiting acumen and oomph of Tucker and company.
Hans Jurgen next. Should we be concerned that MSU is not beating these cupcakes by larger margins?
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, they're not scoring a ton of points. So in winning by, it wasn't impressive all the time against Oakland, but they weren't really threatened in the second half. Oakland's always a weird game, in-state game. The games, this isn't an MSU team that's going to blow the doors off almost anybody right now, and I think what matters is how they look in a lot of really close games in the Big Ten.
Next one from Hans. Will you please live stream your Christmas mornings so all your fans can experience the joy and cheer of the season with you? If not, can we watch you while you're sleeping? # not creepy at all.
Not going to do it, Hans. Yeah.
Not when I'm sleeping. It's disgusting.
Well, then there's that.
I got like a mouth guard thing in, and it's just, you wouldn't be the most boring thing ever, I think.
Well, then the other thing is, you'd be bored watching me in the morning, like just sit there, drink coffee, and I'm not like this active dude in the morning. Like it would be a horrible live stream, and my wife would be completely turned off by the whole thing.
Hans Jurgen, who in the MSU press corps gets laid the most?
This was nearly the Hopcat or the Cosmic Fries question of the day. So it's got to be somebody who's young, right? Young, good looking.
So nobody.
I'm trying to think like the college kids we have right now for Michigan, the State News, and I would,
yeah, no one.
No, there's been some stretches. Matt Charbonneau went through a divorce. I think he did well for a little while.
The summer of Sharps.
The summer of Sharps.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Jake Hawkins next. What will an open competition for MSU starting quarterback job look like?
In theory, it's you're not giving all the top reps to in the spring. You're not giving all the top reps to Peyton Thorne and then just Noah Kim. Like, you're truly opening it up, and you're trying to divvy them up equally. And like Sam Levitt's a true freshman, that's going to be a little different. You take a look at him for a little bit, but it's probably not going to be a true freshman. That just doesn't happen. I'm trying to think, maybe Jeff Smoker, last guy that they did that with, and that was a pretty limited offense for what he became. So that's not going to be. But you want to make the reps equal. You want to give guys an equal look. You want to make it seem like they have a chance to win the job, and I think that's important. And if Peyton Thorne winds up being the quarterback after that, then that's fine. But the other guys shouldn't feel like he's just been anointed because he's been at the last 2 years.
Next one from Jake. As your position changed about the Lions keeping Jared Goff around for the foreseeable future, like how you said they should go sign him to a cap-friendly deal.
Yeah, I don't think they need to get rid of it. Like, for a while, it was like, just get a new guy in.
I don't think he's going to sign a cap-friendly deal, though.
Yeah, well, then don't re-sign him. Just keep him on under contract next year. He's under contract next year. Hold on, let me get Jared Goff's contract.
Woo! We got to get out of here because Evelyn's taping something. FYI.
That's good information. No, okay. What time does Ebling start? 4 o'clock, right?
He's recording an interview at 3:30.
Oh, that's good information to have.
Break down the fourth wall for everybody.
Yeah. That's we share a studio with Ebling. We haven't yet kicked him out. So, So anyway, his contract goes through 2024. So they don't have to do anything for a while, and so that I would just not do anything. Is what I would do. I would, because it's not awful. I mean, it's not. Yeah, just don't do anything for 2 years until you have somebody else in place.
Next one from the Hawk. If the Lions should take a future quarterback in next year's draft, who should it be? I'm not impressed with Stroud, Young, Richardson, or Levis.
Yeah,
I don't know. Levis, everybody's talking about Levis, but
yeah, I mean a lot of skills, but not. I don't know if he's the. To me, Bryce Young is the most talented, but he's little. I would probably go C.J. Stroud. Didn't love the way the Michigan game went. Would love to see C.J. Stroud play well against Georgia and have a different take.
Next one from Jake. Any ideas or speculation on what Pierre Brooks did to not play against Oakland?
Yeah, I think he was just late to something. I mean, the same way Carson Cooper did something that kept him from playing against Gonzaga and San Diego. I think he was just tardy to something or a couple things, or wasn't on his P's and Q's. Nothing serious, but that's why he didn't play the first half.
Next from Jake. Since Matt Ishbia has bought the Phoenix Suns, do you think someone will fuel the rumors of Tom Izzo leaving MSU and being the Suns' next coach?
I have not heard that yet from anywhere, and I just can't imagine at his age. I think 10 years ago that would be a real thing. I don't think it is right now.
Next one, Jake. Should refs, both pro and college, be held accountable and have to answer for such BS calls and a presser?
To some degree. It can't. Like, fan bases are out for blood. It would be like, get that ref up there. How
college
stupid!
Refs are ass.
Yeah, it would be awful. But there should be more than just a pool reporter being able to answer certain questions. There should be, I would say, a pool reporter able to interview the ref after every game and ask any question, even judgment calls. Like, what did you see there? What was the determinant? Like, just have a little more understanding, and it should be something that's recorded, not like a statement.
Next one from Jake. Other than Hoff's Feliz Navidad, do you have any favorite Christmas songs?
I like Christmas music. You're not a Christmas music guy, are you?
We have it on, sure.
Yeah.
For the holiday period, the week of, but I don't love certain songs, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean I like a lot of instrumentals, a lot of I grew up in the church choir at St. Paul's, like a lot of that. That's all that stuff.
We know.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have a favorite song other than Feliz Navidad, which is just as good as it gets. But a lot of catchy songs, both secular and religious, and I'm all into this time of year. The music industry does Christmas well.
Upper Deck Jerk Guy, to get us out of here. How much does this MSU recruiting class overcome the fans' desire for someone to be fired?
I think it helps in this standpoint. Like, I think Jay Johnson was part of the Sam Levitt get. I think I think some of the staff that people aren't thrilled with have been part of this recruiting class. And I think there's also, this recruiting class does provide a jolt of momentum and hope, and those are important things. I still think people clearly want Ross Ells out, and we'll see what happens there. I would be surprised if either coordinator's gone.
Next from the Jerk Guy. Will we see Tough Love Izzo more or less at the start of the Big Ten play?
In terms of like the Pierre Brooks thing, I don't think you'll. I think you'll see Izzo be Izzo always. And now it's easier to bench a guy against Oakland, but you can't set a precedent like that and then not follow through. We just missed one from the Upper Deck Jerk Guy too.
Can MSU recruit a top 10 football class?
I don't think right now they can, because I think they've got to get to. I mean, eventually that ought to be the goal. And if you do enough classes like this and you then win more, you get to a point where you can. And yes, I believe it's possible for the school. But right now, I think it's tough to even crack the top 15.
Next one from Jerk Guy. How do you explain that 10% of the NBA teams could soon be owned by Spartan alums?
I mean, I don't think it has anything to do with MSU. It's nothing. I mean, it's cool for MSU. It's not like they were in the same class with one of great professors. Like, this is how it's done.
I just love that Ishbia hates Dan Gilbert.
That is an amazing little rivalry. Yeah.
Pro Ishbia on that one. Jerk Guy. If you weighed 198 pounds and ate a 2-pound burrito, would you be 1% burrito?
Until you took a dump, yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, for sure.
Wouldn't take long. Without looking it up, can you define contemporaneous?
Do you have this one?
Contemporaneous?
Yeah. Contemporaneousness.
Contemporaneous.
He's just trying to make it longer.
Contemporaneousness. Does it mean existing or something? Or
Yeah. You're in the right realm.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
All right. Jerk guy, do you ever rub Solari's head for luck?
I have occasionally. We've actually, Solari's head is a nice little.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
You think you're just going to get out of here at the end with that shit?
I think I'm
what do you
sure
mean
I have.
occasionally you rub his head?
No, I'm just kidding. I've definitely. I wouldn't want anybody touching my head. I feel like I've rubbed his head once in my life, but now that I think about it, I can't say for sure.
All right, finally, Jerk guy, if offered, would you take the job of CEO of Twitter?
Yes, but I would not. If Elon Musk was still there, I would not quit anything else because I feel like I'd be fired within a week. He would change his mind. He'd run a Twitter poll, and I'd be.
What does it pay?
Executed. That's a good question. Yeah, I think I'd have some good ideas. A lot of quote tweets would go away. A lot of things would change. A lot of people would be. I would actually be a more annoying version of Elon Musk on Twitter. We appreciate all of you. Hope all of you have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Thanks for making our show what you do. Or what it is. I don't know what the fuck that meant. What it is. Screwing up to end the year. We appreciate Groovy Donuts. Go to groovydonuts.com. Place your pre-orders. Thanks to Hopcat. Thanks to Firekeeper's Eye Casino and Sportsbook. And, of course, thanks to Skymint. Make Skymint part of your holiday. Good show, man.
Yeah.